What is up, YouTube? My name is Evan, and today I brought you a very interesting deck. I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying that it's a little bit more on the casual side, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a card I've really wanted to build around for a long time. And as the mat implies, we are running Blaziken today. We're running a full 4 set of this Blaziken from Furious Fists, and the main attraction of this guy is his Burning Shot attack, which for 2 fire and 2 colorless deals 150 damage to any Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field, not just their active Pokemon. It does require you to discard 2 energy attached to him. Now note that's 2 energy, not 2 fire energy, not 2 energy cards, just 2 energy, which means you could like discard a double colorless energy, for example, to pay for it. But obviously what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get one-hit knockouts, especially targeting things like Shaman EX. But it's also great for just sniping things in general. It's a very powerful attack, and we're going to try to, put it to its maximum use. I mean, clutch can be a pretty clutch move, and pun intended. But preventing the retreat can actually be pretty useful against things that like want to capitalize on Floatstone and whatnot, and Zoroark, if Zoroark's in the active slot, he can't run away. So, I mean, there are times that you could use Clutch, but it's mainly just his Burning Shot that we're looking to exploit. To run that 4, we're also going to run 4 Combuskins. You can run either Combuskin because they both have 80 HP in the same retreat. I'm a little more partial to the Furious Fists Combuskin, though, because he hits a little harder, he deals more damage. But obviously this guy's got cheaper attacks, so whichever one you want to run is fine. It's not really a big deal. And the same story for our 4 Torchics. Realistically, I think the Primal Clash Torchic is probably just a little bit better, even though he's only got 50 HP instead of 60. Reason being, if you're in a little bit of a tight spot in the early game, you can always use your Flare bonus to try to draw some cards and get out of it. And Claw might deal you some good damage. But this Torchic does have 60 HP, and the City Championships promo is this one too, so that's one of the reasons I think I picked it too. But either way, you can run either one you want as long as you're running 4. That's most of your Pokemon, but I am running 2 Shaman EX, good Ultra Ball targets to kind of keep us drawing so that we can get those consistent openings we want. And I wanted somebody else who could be a good basic but also a good attacker, and there were a number of options, but I figured to stay on flavor, Blaziken EX was a cool choice. His Fist of Focus is interesting because it says attach an energy card. Not just a fire energy, not just a basic energy, but just an energy card. So he can attach a double colorless energy to himself, for example, to get his Flare Storm going, which is pretty awesome. I think this guy's secretly a lot better than he looks at first when you read him. But I thought he was a pretty interesting alternative starting Pokemon. And like I say, this is a little more casual, and I thought just for grins and for giggles, why not run 1 copy of Mega Blaziken? In those first 2 turns, you may not actually be attacking necessarily, so it's an easy time for you to go ahead, play all your cards out, and then at the end of the turn, since you're not going to attack anyway, just evolve up to Mega Blaziken. And this guy could do some damage with his Moonsault Blaze if he gets going, and Blacksmith and Double Colorless Energy help him get up pretty quickly, so I thought, why not? Why not? So we're going to run him just for grins and giggles. That's it for our Pokemon, and we are going to run 4 Sycamore. Pretty obvious choice there, lots of draw power, and bonus, it discards fire energies for our Blacksmiths, so that's nice. 1 Professor Birch's Observation, it's a little more draw power, and it's a good versus secret target late in the game when you might not necessarily want to draw the full 7, or if you don't want to lose something out of your hand. Teammates, because our Blazikens may go down pretty easily, and we may have to sack a Torchic here or there, so this is a great versus secret target, as always. We've opted for 2 Blacksmith. We're mainly going to versus seeker for these, but it's nice to have 2. So we can Blacksmith as many as 6 times, basically, if we use all our versus seekers and we play these out. Very important to keep those energies coming back onto our Blaziken so we can keep using Burning Shot every turn. We are also opting for 1 copy of Wally, because this can get our Blaziken up on our 2nd turn, which might, if we go first, might be our first turn we could attack anyway. And it also searches things out of our deck, which is very nice. So I do like the 1 Wally. It can be a versus secret target, obviously. And 1 Lysander, because even though we can attack anywhere, this is a nice way to get Pokemon like, say, Hoopa EX into the active slot where your opponent has to figure out a way to get rid of it, whilst Blaziken is still attacking to the bench. So this can be pretty useful to us. It's used in a different way from how you would in a lot of other decks, but still pretty gosh darn useful. Now, as far as items go, we're running 4 versus seekers, because lots of ways to exploit it in this deck. And we're running a full complement of 4 battle compressors because we want to get our fire energies in there quickly for our Blacksmiths, and we want to discard our versus seeker targets as well. So we run the 4 compressors not because we want to compress 4 times, but rather we do it so that we can battle compress pretty regularly in the early game. We want to make sure we draw it. And speaking of drawing things, we're also running 4 copies of Acrobike. Once again, this can put stuff into our discard pile easily and kind of just accelerate us through and make sure we get the things we need. So that's why we're opting for 4. Lots of blacksmith assistance there. And of course, Ultra Ball does that as well. We're not going to opt for Level Ball or anything because we have that 140 HP Blaziken that we really want. And this can get any Pokemon in our deck, which is nice flexibility. And of course, it also gets Shaman EX, needless to say, and helps Shaman EX draw us lots of cards. So that's definitely our Pokemon searcher of choice. And we do have 1 Professor's Letter, because getting the energies is nice. They can be discarded for Blacksmith later on or just attached. Whatever, it's a good utility card one. And here's an interesting tech. We are running 2 copies of Target Whistle, which is also Team Flare Grill gear, but yeah, Target Whistle. Basically, the idea with this is we can Burning Shot ideally into Shaman EX on your opponent's bench and knock it out. But if either we've knocked one out already, or if your opponent realizes it's too easy a target for Blaziken and so they Ultra Ball and discard their Shaman EXs, we can play Target Whistle to take it from their discard pile and put it onto their bench and give us an excellent Burning Shot knockout. Because with 110 HP, Shaman EX is an easy 2 prizes for Blaziken. It can be very difficult for an opponent to deal with that kind of a blow. It's a lot of attrition. And bonus on that Target Whistle, of course, is also that when we bring back their Shaman EX that way, they can't use the setup because they didn't play it from their hand, of course. So, very powerful card there, lots of synergy. We also are running Super Rod if we have to discard off some Pokemon and might need them later, or whatever. This is a great way to cycle them back into our deck, and it does give us the option of putting some fire energies back if we end up needing them. So that 1 Super Rod is definitely a very nice utility card to have. And we are also opting for 1 Switch just in case. Our retreats are pretty light in this deck, but occasionally you might need this, especially to get around status, so we do have the 1 Switch for that. And last, our stadium of choice is going to be Training Center. You can make an argument for Scorched Earth, but I like Training Center as it makes Blaziken and especially Combusken much harder for our opponents to knock out, especially in the early game. In a lot of ways, we're running this just to get rid of our opponents' stadiums, but it's just really nice to give us a little more bulk and maybe give us access to a second Burning Shot or something like that. Energy-wise, it's really straightforward. We're running 4 double colorless energies, because why wouldn't you? And if your opponent has special energy removal, discard this to pay for your Burning Shot. And it'll be just fine, because that next Blacksmith is still going to power you up just the same. So if you see Enhanced Hammer or Zerosic or something like that, it's a great way around that. And finally, we are running a complement of 4 fire energies, which means that we're running a total of 12 energy, but we draw a lot, and we can search them out with compressors for Blacksmith and stuff like that, so that's really all we need. And that is it. That is our Burning Shot Blaziken deck. It's pretty fun. You should give it a try. It can have some interesting matchups. Seismitoad is, of course, pretty scary, but anybody who puts a Shaman down is very potentially an easy win for us. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on Twitter if you haven't already. Link is below, and I will see you next time.